Equinox webinar. And we are the AstroTwins, Talia and Ophira Edut. For those of you who are new to us, many of you have been following us for a long time, and thank you so much. We thought today would be the perfect moment to at least take a stab at resetting and rebalancing in a world that's gone completely out of balance in the blink of an eye. So we are so glad you're joining us here today, and we're going to give you a minute to get on with us, and then me and Ophi are going to come on and walk you through preparation for what's ahead. So, okay, Ophi, I'm gonna
I'm
in here. Okay, hi.
And as you come on, feel free to introduce yourself. Ophi here, and tell us your sign, where you're tuning in from, and we will let people come on before we start. I'm going to
I have to wear my URL
quickly on the events page just so everyone can find it.
Awesome. We're looking to make sure this is all pinned here. I think there's something else pinned at the top. Let me
Nope, it's there.
Okay, cool. All right. Always takes a minute to just get all the tech in place. Here we go. Perfect. All right. All right. Hi, Jill and Natalie and Ashley, Kathy and Kimberly. Hey, Natalie. So glad you're here, Roxanne. How we doing, Chaos Queens, right? We are all the queens of chaos right now. And today is an especially intense day because Mars and Jupiter are meeting up, which in Capricorn, the sign that rules the government, the economy. Now, Mars and Jupiter amplify everything, expose everything, push things along. So as the day progresses, we're already seeing some insider trading stuff going on, all kinds of things getting exposed as we kind of predicted. But today is about taking a moment to go WTF, and also what do we need? What do we need as people here, as individuals, to get through this time, and also to use astrology to kind of look ahead, because we did not know there was going to be a global pandemic. No, we didn't. But we did know there was going to be something major happening with the economy this year. We did know that society was going to go through a shift this year. And the way we kind of view things is that we don't want to say that everything happens for a reason, even though actually we do feel that way.
But yeah, we're not into, blaming anyone for things that are hard. It doesn't really help in moments like this. What really helps is to try to get ourselves calm and focused and out of any kind of a reactive space that would have us spinning our wheels. Of course, just even a caveat to that, you have every right to feel reactive and panicked and upset. But, astrology, we've always said it's kind of an anti-anxiety tool, or when used properly, and that's how we've used it for over 20 years ourselves. So we consider it our mission to share astrology through that, in that context with you. Maybe in the macro space, it's really hard to know what to do next and to plan. There's so much uncertainty. And astrology can create some certainty, but only so much. But what it can do is sort of give you a shorter term calming, what can you do next? What's the next best step for you, based on your sign, based on what's happening in the stars, what's going to be happening in the short term. And so we prepared a presentation to walk you through that and the challenges and the opportunities of the upcoming planets. Even today is a huge day. Now, spring is a moment to reset, recalibrate. Today, really was last night at 11:50 p.m. Eastern, or today, this morning, depending on where you are, what time zone. But, the first day of spring and the equinox is always the astrological new year, because our zodiac, our modern zodiac, is based on the seasons, not the constellations. It's roughly inspired by, so that's why there's no 13th sign. We're based on the seasons, and Aries begins the zodiac year. So as strange as it may feel to talk about hope and renewal and spring today, although everything is new, not in a way that we want it to be, that's what is here. So,
And one thing, to speak to that is that, and this is where the astrological transits of our time right now. This year, there's an extraordinary and unprecedented number of planets in Capricorn. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, which is not comfortable in Capricorn. Saturn, which is entrenched structures that need to be audited and potentially rebuilt, and Pluto, which is the ruler of the underground and secrets and vaults and hidden things that need to die to be reborn and reinvented. We also have Mars in Capricorn right now for another week. So the south node, the karmic point of the moon, is also in Capricorn. Now, we haven't had this lineup of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto since the 1200s. And Saturn and Pluto haven't met in Capricorn since 1518 AD. Now, Capricorn is all about, it's that persistent goat that treks towards the goal. It's also the eldest earth sign. So it rules conservation of our natural resources. And the most important ones, it also rules governments, economies, and banks, which I think I said already, but I'll probably say it a few more times. So Capricorn is stubborn, it's tenacious. This is energy that doesn't let go easily. So change, we've all been talking about climate change became climate crisis, and there's things we know we have to let go of as a world and as a society, but to undo those structures, there's so much woven in, which is very much that Capricorn, that those things we built up over time, over hundreds of years, if not thousands. These entrenched structures need to shift in order for the earth to actually be able to sustain itself. And what is it going to take for us to let go, And here we are, all united across the globe under nature's martial law. As much as we don't like it, Mars is ruling. People have been, oh, martial law. Well, Mother Nature has put us under her martial law right now for a little while. And how do we reconnect to that in a way that doesn't leave us feeling disempowered? So let's start going through the slides. And all united across the globe.
sorry about
The goal
that.
is to really leave you guys feeling empowered. Get a notebook and a pen. We're going to do a little exercise together at the end with a daily practice that you can use as well. So let me put this up in the stream here. We're going to disappear for a little while as we read to you. And go ahead, Ophi.
Okay. Oh yes, right. I'm in charge of this.
You are usually are.
She usually is.
We're in different cities, and
yeah, we're both in. I'm in New York State, and Tally's in Seattle, Washington. So we're in
worst possible places you could be.
two of the hotbeds of everything. In fact, the state just did a mandatory shelter at home starting Sunday at 8 here. So, for anyone who's dealing with that, it's
suddenly became a homeschool teacher.
Yes, my morning was starting my own private school with a friend and her son right here at this very table that I'm sitting at. But, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. So this is a major transit that's about to happen tomorrow. Saturn is moving into Aquarius for the first time since 1991 to 94. And if you were born in those years, you'll be starting what's called your Saturn return this weekend, depending on the exact dates. But so Saturn, it takes about 29 and a half years to to return to each zodiac sign. It's a slow-moving outer planet. It's been in Capricorn, like Tali said, the sign of governments and the economy and all of the businesses and restriction. Actually, it's home sign, so we've gotten a double dose of it since December 2017. So Saturn's taking its first dip into Aquarius tomorrow, March 21st, until July 1st, 2020. Then it's going to spend one last hurrah in Capricorn, a few more months until the 20, and then it'll leave Capricorn until the 2040s. We probably won't miss it. It'll return December 17th of this year for a longer 2.5-year run. So Saturn rules restriction and boundaries and separation, rules, law, government mandates. And it's moving into Aquarius, which is the sign of society, groups, teams. I associate any place where people gather. So having this planet of restriction there until about July 1st, that gives us kind of an estimate of maybe how long some of these things are going to really last. But it's Saturn is also a time of learning to live within restrictions as well. So in that time, one of the the challenges will clearly be this social distancing and the breakdown of all these societal norms. It's interesting because Saturn was the ancient ruler, the classical ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius is now said to be ruled by the planet Uranus because it's an unconventional planet that spins on its side and fits the quirky personality of Aquarius more than Saturn. But Uranus was only discovered in 1780, I believe. So until then, Saturn was associated. So Aquarius is sort of this interesting dualistic sign. It has the quirk and rebellion of Aquarius, but then also the rigidity of Saturn. So if you know any Aquarians, they may seem wild and crazy, but they all have a type A streak in them, I find. And I think that's because of the co-rulership. So here we're going to be experiencing Saturn's restrictiveness with Aquarians' urge to rebel and break the rules, as well as a need to reinvent all the structures. So we're optimistic Sagittarians ourselves. We're not unrealistic, but we do like to find any silver lining you can, because sometimes that's what gets you through the day. So, the opportunity, not to make light of the challenges, is to use technology that's ruled by Aquarius to bring people together. I just looked at a video of a cute high school a cappella group on probably Zoom or Google Hangouts, all harmonizing from their different little squares with separately. So, we're going to have to do things like that. And then shifting to a communal mindset of global oneness. Normally, when these kind of things happen, there are continents that are not going through this that can, like, oh, the poor, whatever, let's send them relief. Well, this is, I think, the first time I've ever experienced, and probably the world has ever experienced, nobody has relief because we're all going through the same things. So what's the opportunity there? And we invite you to think about that or share about that in the comments, And again, that does not invalidate feelings of frustration and anger. Saturn can make us feel trapped, even the word lockdown. I mean, I've never heard that in anything except for, watching Orange is the New Black. It's like a lockdown happens in a prison. So the fact that kind of language is being employed at the very end of Saturn and Capricorn.
And also Pluto, being close by. Pluto is the jail keeper, so the Saturn-Pluto connection that happened, on January 12th kind of set the stage for that. So here's where Saturn and Aquarius can say, how can I be liberated? Aquarius rules a higher mind. The liberation comes from our mindset. The liberation comes from our mental state, our ability to rise above, think beyond parameters. That's one of the gifts of Aquarius. Also, Saturn's the ruler of time. And in Capricorn for the last 2.5 years, I don't know how many times I know I said, and people around me, I don't have time. I'm so busy. I don't have time. I don't have time. Now, Saturn moving to Aquarius shifts us into a new relationship with time. People are saying, wow, I can't go running here and there, hopping on a flight. Did I really need to do all that? Did I? So there's an opportunity to kind of reassess the way we use time, the way we think about time, and where we devote our time as well. So thanks,
And
Saturn.
noticing in the comments, one person is having trouble with their internet, which is very Saturn and Aquarius too. Saturn slows things down, and Aquarius is technology. And if you are, most people are saying they can see this just fine, but if you are someone who's having trouble seeing this, we are going to post this on our website later and on our YouTube channel. The replay will be up 24/7. It's quite likely that all the people at home are, clogging up the internet, and
It's true.
we may see some internet rationing going on in the next 2.5 months with Saturn and
For
Aquarius.
sure. I'm also
So,
seeing Darcy saying, "I'm gonna do a food drive for the food bank." That's something, again, Saturn may restrict some of our internet usage. We might get sick of, like, doing everything on Zoom and realize we need to get out and away from our technology a little bit. I was texting with a friend and then she's like, I got to go work on the garden. I was like, you go do that. I'm so happy. Let's put our freaking phones down. And, I left my phone at home and went for a walk because there's nothing, it's like all of a sudden nothing is more urgent than staying healthy and well and caring for the people around us in our communities, and all those things that seem so all important are in this weird perspective, like, oh my god, the dings and now of course there will also be moments where we're frantically tech escaping too, but it's just going to be, this is a longer transit until 2023, so this is kind of a preview. Yep, let's go on to the next slide.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So next up is Venus in Gemini. And normally this would be a really sexy, flirty transit that would give us all a rush of spring fever. And we're not saying it won't. April 3rd to August 7th, Venus usually stays in a sign for 4 weeks, but every other year, Venus turns retrograde. And as such, will hover in a single sign for about 4 months. So the retrograde takes place from May 13th until June 25th. Now, Venus is a planet of beauty and love and radiance. And what makes this so even more special is that Venus turns retrograde about every 18 months. But it hits the same 5 points on the zodiac wheel. If you every 8 years it returns to the same point and turns retrograde. And if you were to trace that, it actually trace the wheel and the position where Venus hits on the circular zodiac wheel, it would actually make the shape of a star. It's fascinating and awesome, and sacred geometry and nature and the universe and the cosmos at their finest. So Venus was last in Gemini in 2012. In June of 2012 was the retrograde. It also corresponded with this Venus eclipse. There's two Venus eclipses over the sun where there's a little black dot on the sun today, and that's Venus being spotlighted by the sun. It only happens in pairs every 100 years. So that was the last one we'll have for a century. And it kind of came the same year as the Mayan calendar ending, everything. And so we think of Venus as actually the only planet named after a female deity in our solar system, and backlit by the sun. We took that as a sign of the divine feminine rising. So here we are. And I'm talking about the feminine archetype, which exists in everyone, regardless of gender. So here we are having this opportunity to, whether we chose to or not, to return to that. How's the divine feminine going to rise in all of us? Now, there's parenting and nesting and domestic arts and dads parents of all genders are going to share in those. It's not like moms, you homeschool the
I
kids.
know people are just saying moms automatically. It's funny.
Yeah. So, anyways, Venus bringing that feminine energy. And so, what's the challenge here? Well, there's Venus in Gemini is the time where you're like right swiping, left swiping, checking out, flirting. Well, now you're stuck at home with your person if you're in a relationship, or you can't go out. So, you have to, and meet new people. So, there's that restlessness we're going to have to cope with. And so, how to flirt and seduce while socially distancing. Like, yeah, maybe you meet someone online, but then can you meet up? Is it safe? Is it, these are who knew they'd be thinking about this spring. But here's the opportunity, perhaps, in there is to actually create authentic communication. You're going to be in close quarters with people if you live with anyone. And Gemini is a sign of communication, and it can be playful communication. Venus is the diplomat. So speaking your truth to your people without, burning bridges. That's a real opportunity now. During the retrograde, watch out. And that retrograde period, May 13th to June 25th, if we have test kits, I predict there'll be a lot of sex with exes going on this or like, oh my God, maybe
Being free,
you ghosted someone or they ghosted you, but you actually liked each other. You may realize you were being a jerk, and who knows, bring it all together. Love is Blind as a new true love reality. And I don't know if anyone else has binge watched the show Love is Blind, but it's an experiment. I mean, I'm betting like at least 3/4 of this of the people here have, but basically it's this experiment that was televised where they put it was very heteronormative, but that's TV for you still, alas. But anyways, they had women on one side of a wall, men on on the other, and they had to fall in love with each other or not by the sound of their voices. And so
and the
in order to actually meet each other, they had to propose and get married potentially within this like 1 month time frame. It was insane, but it actually did work for a couple of the couples. Spoiler alert. Anyways, if the Love is Blind people in their pods could fall in love by voice, well, maybe it's time to bring back the art of the old-fashioned phone call while Venus and Gemini. And that goes into the next opportunity of creative dating and mating rituals. How creative can we get? It's time to bring some of that back, you know, and use the technology of the day to do that too.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
We've got some intrigued people who want to see Love is Blind. It is pretty fascinating to see and see how disoriented they are when they actually have to put a face to the voice. So but it's really interesting. So
I can't say that my taste in TV is highbrow to begin with. So if you're like a film noir buff, don't hate the recommendation.
Right.
We are all in pods now, Alice. It's kind of crazy.
There was one scene where there was a couple who was struggling after meeting that they reset the pod up, and then they had this really beautiful, authentic conversation. So that was very interesting. Infinity, we'll all work on that this year. It's funny because some people are like, nobody's going to care about relationships and love during all of this time. It's like, well, they may more than ever because people need people, and that's just the way it is. So
I mean, I literally hear a bird chirping if your door is open there.
That was
so.
There are some birds outside.
The birds are interested, and the bees. We're not above nature. No, we aren't. Okay, next slide. Cool.
Now, this is a longer trend that's happening. Uranus, the planet of social upheaval and unrest and radical change, is in Taurus for the first time since 1942. Uranus takes 84 years to return to a sign. It stays for 7 or 8 years. So it was last in Taurus, 1934 to 42. Those were some challenging times for the world, you know, in terms of the economy and wars and everything. But, you know, Taurus rules our everyday reality, our immediate environment, money, the economy. And Uranus is here now from May 15th, 2018 till April 2026. So we're experiencing that cycle for the first time since the 1930s and 40s. Now, Uranus is in, there's a way of looking at the signs called the essential dignities, meaning is a planet comfortable in a zodiac sign or not? And Uranus is in what's called fall when in Taurus, meaning it's not comfortable, which makes sense because Uranus is all about radical change and liberation, and Taurus is about commitment and security and consistency. So Uranus wants change, Taurus wants things to stay the same, and they have to share their crayons for the next 6 years now. So this is, you know, we've felt that, if you felt that rumbling beneath your feet. Taurus rules, you know, our daily income and earnings and jobs. So the challenge of Uranus and Taurus, one of them will definitely be giving up comforts and luxury, which are ruled by Taurus, kind of for the greater good, or new ways of just going through our day-to-day lives and getting what we need, or redefining what's essential versus what's nice to have. You know, they're closing all the non-essential businesses, but what do you consider essential? I mean, again, not to make light, but I was joking with a friend. I was like, the minute my roots start to show a little much, I'm sorry, but getting my hair done is an essential business. But it may not be. I may not have the access to my hairdresser. So, you know, that joke may be on me in a couple of weeks. You know, and balancing the terrestrial and extraterrestrial. We may see more UFO reports, weirdly. There have been a lot of those for the first time ever since Uranus into Taurus. But
Even like the earthbound
I know what you meant. You know, it's really nobody should be looking for UFOs, although Lord knows we'll have time on our hands to do that.
I'm looking for one. Take me to Atlantis or Pleiades.
Yeah. Well, balancing, kind of like Tali said, the time in nature, the time in the garden versus the time with technology. You know, we've been writing about that in our 2020 horoscope guide, and even at all the 2018 and 2019, if you've gotten those books from us for the last couple of years, we've been already talking about, you know, more FaceTime versus FaceTime the app. So an opportunity here is really like to just rediscover a reverence for nature, even just rediscover nature, you know, simplicity and sustainability, and a new relationship to time and the physical universe. Time is a big theme. We have a lot of earth signs, you know, planets and earth signs right now. Taurus is an earth sign and Capricorn is an earth sign. So there's a real need to slow down, get grounded, plant our feet. And, you know, I think of Taurus as the ultimate be here now kind of phase. So like in those moments where you are panicking or spinning out, like Uranus and Taurus Uranus is a planet of genius, innovation, invention, really pushing us to be creative. Like, this moment is all I have. And I'm a Sagittarius. I live in the future. You won't hear those words coming out of my mouth normally. But the truth is, you know,
you better be here.
we only have each moment, you know, each breath. And we're not guaranteed the next moment or the next breath. And it may serve us well to remember that at moments, not to take away from the very real suckiness of this hampered freedom and social contact. But still, in this moment, what good can I find is kind of a Uranus opportunity.
The thing is, this could be the new definition of a bull market. We might be in a bear market, and Wall Street's definition of a bull market may be failing, but Taurus is right now, Uranus rules innovation, and Taurus is the first of the earth signs. It has a reverence for all things that are natural and terrestrial, and so as we try to figure out how to support ourselves, even our relationship with money is going to change. But, the currency of the new market may be trading kale that you grew, or, like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It could go back to some very Taurian ways of, you know, bartering and, goods and services and food. And I don't know, it's going to
Well,
like,
I did that this morning with, my friend who's a doctor, my friend Rashia, and you'll be hearing a podcast from us in the next couple days with some sane advice from a medical doctor who believes in integrative medicine. So her son and my daughter, we sat, like I said, we sat at the table. The school gave out these packets, and they've Google Classroom and all these different technology ways of teaching, and we had no idea. And yesterday was, pardon my French, it was a shit show because I was trying to figure it out alone. And today we came together, and we sent the kids out on the trampoline out back for quote unquote recess. And I sort of oversaw some of their lessons, and she oversaw one that and normally actually, like, it's a struggle to get my daughter to do homework alone, but having a peer and a friend there from her grade to do it with was like, it became fun, and all these creative opportunities. And we were like, kind of like, okay, we've got this. Our co-learning private school is actually kind of like awesome in a way. Like, I wish the conditions that created it weren't happening, but I gotta say, I was like, wow, we get to be with our kids, like participate in their learning, see what they're even learning, and and they're both only children, kind of. I have a 20-year-old stepdaughter, so it's a big age gap, my 9-year-old, so she's not really around much. There's something really nice about it. So taking pleasure in that moment, with a little Taurus and a Libra kid, was something to be grateful for today. So any little ways that you can bring things back to Earth for Uranus and Taurus this way, in between looking at awful news alerts.
and yeah, I see the dialogue going on. People are freaking out about the National Guard being deployed and that, but you know what? They may be deployed to help manage the chaos of,
Yeah, they're
if
here.
this spreads the way it does. I mean, it not spreads, but if the impact on people is that we're short on respirators, ventilators. Here's Uranus and innovation again too. It's like
Things,
and Saturn and Aquarius. Why don't we have enough of the Aquarian scientific developed tools available? Why aren't we ready for it?
respiratory, with Aquarius being an air sign. Yeah,
Don't start freaking out that they're going to be standing outside of your house with a gun.
they're not.
Right now, it may actually be helpful to have some support from some of the institutions and structures. Now, I don't know. I hope it doesn't go crazy, but like, will they be directing the flow of things when the hospitals run out of beds and people don't have enough? A soccer field has been already converted in Seattle to prepare for people who need to be on ventilators and respirators.
God, wow. You know what? We have to remember, because I'm going to say, like, these are also individual human beings who devoted their life to service and protection. And while no matter where you stand on the political spectrum, and I totally understand, just remember that the National Guard is, it sounds very scary and like, oh my God, they're going to be, like Tali said, they're not going to be showing up.
We don't know. We don't know.
But you will, yeah, there's people, yeah, there are going to be a lot of, there can be a lot of pandemonium. And so
And
we'll just have to take that one day at a time. But with Uranus and Taurus, Saturn is rules, Aquarius is the rule breaker, Taurus is, structure and consistency, and Uranus is rebellion. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius now, like I said earlier. So we are going to see a lot of that. So if however possible, just, well, we're gonna go through an exercise of 6 questions that will probably be helpful of this. Like, I want to really encourage people to not react to things that aren't happening yet, but just to keep, stay alert and aware and cognizant and grounded. That's what these bizarro planetary mashups we're experiencing are telling us.
I
So
think, yeah, Jessica's saying she was shocked to realize this was the most time she spent with her 5-year-old since almost after their birth. And so, yeah, it's really interesting how we didn't make a slide for this, but the North Node, the cosmic destiny point, is in Cancer until May 5th. It's been there since November 2018. And so this return to home is really taking, and like family and we have 2 more eclipses. We had a lunar eclipse in Cancer on January 10th, and then we have one final eclipse in Cancer of a 2-year series this June 21st. So there is this like sudden realization, like what am I doing here around home and family? So this is all tying into it. Let's go on to the next slide.
yeah, but in no way is it a shiny bow, or should we stick our heads in the sand. There is a very real economic impact. Uranus and Taurus is showing us that, and we do need to be prepared for it. So this is not suggesting anyone choose denial or doing the ostrich thing, or, a lot of people are finding themselves wholly unprepared financially, etc. And that's why we're going to be doing more of these live streams, and why we
I would
chose.
say most and many people are unprepared.
Yeah,
We're
almost all.
unprepared for the global economy to crash, but we're all in this together, and that's some weird comfort, I guess. So here's actually, which brings us to the next slide of Jupiter meets Pluto in Capricorn 3 times this year, and the first one's coming up. Jupiter, which is this giant, abundant spotlight, it exposes the truth, is meeting up with Pluto, which is the guardian of secrets, who takes everything underground and kidnaps and hides it and puts it in our unconscious. They're meeting in Capricorn, which is this provider energy. So Jupiter and Pluto meet up. They haven't met in Capricorn like this actually since 1771. They worked together in Capricorn in 2008, 2009, when we had the last crash, interestingly enough. And they have been together since December 2nd of 2019. Jupiter's in Capricorn until December 19th of this year. But the fact that they're making 3 exact conjunctions, meaning they'll meet at the very same degree of Capricorn 3 times, is really it's a rare thing. And the fact that it's happening this year, that also on June 30th and November 12th, they're hitting the same point of Capricorn, that 22 degrees, 46 minutes, right by there, once retrograde, once direct, that Saturn and Pluto met up at January 12th. So everything that happened on January 12th was going on. A lot of it was going on behind the scenes. There was the coronavirus, there were cases being reported. There's so much more to this than we even know, and it is going to get exposed. And so the challenge here is looking at the shadow. And the shadow is really hard to see, especially for people who may have had faith in certain structures and systems. How could they do this? A lot of us have already been saying that, but how could they do this? How could they blah, blah, blah? Well, the next step of that, and this is where Jupiter comes in, owning our part in the system and the climate crisis. How I'm pointing a finger out there. I don't want to be like those people. But how do I play a role in it? How do all those packages that I have delivered when I could walk to the corner store, just because I can, make me part of this, And this is not to make ourselves wrong, but you know, we have become very comfortable with convenience that actually impacts the planet adversely in every way, as well as in some ways is a positive. There's a positive and a negative. Okay, the economy was thriving, but the earth was crying. There was certain segments of the world were being exploited, but hey, 2-day delivery. So, like, how are we part of that? The opportunity here is a redistribution of wealth. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, but from this breakdown, from these systems, being put in the timeout chair, if not on lockdown, there is an opportunity for us. And all these opportunities are not just going to happen, by the way. These are things that will require human beings to step up and organize and create. So maybe if you're looking for a spring project, take on redistributing global wealth, because we've got time. No big deal, just a small one. Reinventing the global dream. We have a global nightmare right now. That's Pluto, but can show us our highest dreams. What is the nightmare showing us that we need to release in order to have something new to dream about that works for everyone? I think about the soccer field being turned into a medical center, and then I 1 minute later I flash to um, the borders where, on the southern border of the United States, where people are being put in cages, or the lineup of beds there, and how similarly that kind of looks in its own way. Like, the nightmare is, we're all part of it, so we can all be part of a collective dream. I know that doesn't sound very heartening, but that is just a sign that we have to turn this around together. And then sustainability is the new normal. This Jupiter Pluto is taking place in Capricorn. That's our conservation of our natural resources. How can we create industries, companies, new ways of doing life that don't destroy the planet, basically? So there's this is just the heaviest slide, perhaps. These are some big deal things. 2020 is not a light and fluffy year. We're gonna have to live in two realities, dealing with the really big existential questions, and then in finding peace and joy within ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to take you there in a second. We just have a
Yes,
couple more
yes.
existential crisis
But,
slides.
as astrologers, our job is not to sugarcoat. We report on as above, so below. But it's really helpful to know what is going on overhead and what's coming up in the next days, weeks, months, and years, because it does actually allow you to plan and prepare, or consider, at least in the back of your mind. If you don't choose to map your moves by the stars, until you've fully road tested this astrology thing, you can keep it in mind and say, okay, let me watch that date and see. Early in the year, I think like at the very end of 2019, I did a video about the roaring 20s versus the boring 20s, and did not know this was going to happen exactly, but encouraged people to really learn technology, and that the roaring 20s of the 20th century was a totally different planetary lineup. So if you're interested, we can share that. We'll share that link in the comments. But the boring 20s are really going to challenge us to get it. Yeah. So, okay. So let me go to the next slide. So here's the longer view of 2020. From July 1st to December 17th, Saturn will return to its home sign of Capricorn for one last hurrah. So You really want to think from tomorrow until July 1st, from March 21st until July 1st, 2020, Saturn's in Aquarius, teaching us, giving us a sneak preview and teaching us, here's a look at what you're going to have to restructure in society, in your groups, in your friendships, in your relationships. And then Saturn returns to Capricorn to actually help us build those things, put some of those things in place, to distill the lessons around climate, economy, and government that really began December 19th, 2017, that we've been learning ever since. Now, June 27th to January 6th, Mars is going to take an extra long visit to its home sign, meaning the sign it rules, Aries. And that happens because Mars also goes retrograde this year from September 9th to November 13th. So, that will come probably with some challenges because it's a double dose of this very, Mars is the warrior planet. So, on the one hand, it will bring out our urgency, our sense of being proactive. But, it'll also call us, there'll be a choice. We may take on personal responsibility and leadership because Aries is a sign of self, or there may be increased authority. That's, again, there may be a need for more National Guard kind of interventions at that time because we may, during the retrograde, it can drive up aggression and stress. That if we have to return to any kind of lockdowns, then
crime increases.
Then there will be, that will present a problem that society has to deal with collectively. On the other hand, Mars and Aries can really make us confident and willing to take risks again. So, over the summer, it's like July 1st, Saturn leaves Aquarius. June 27th, Mars goes into Aries. That may be when we are like, okay, we can get out again, we can do things, we can have our freedom and independence back a little bit. It may not be full-fledged. We're still going to probably have to work around things. This is a real deal thing, but hopefully there's going to be a little bit of a push there. And individuals, Mars is about taking initiative. Aries is individual. So individuals will take initiative to create new systems of communal support. I think we're already starting that now, and potentially the emergence of a new global leadership. No coincidence, perhaps, that Mars will be retrograde during the U.S. election. So we'll see how that all shakes out too. That's the response.
That's really interesting. And if people get a little too so here's something to plan ahead for Mars and Aries right now. If you see your neighbors struggling with money or food or that, or someone in your family, start getting use Saturn and Aquarius to get those networks going so everyone feels like someone's got their back. Because when Mars and Aries hits, there can be that's a tempestuous energy. There can be a lot of anger, frustration, people being cooped up. If they get to go out, they could get a little too wild and crazy and stuff. So make sure that look out for the people around you as Saturn and Aquarius. So we don't have to learn a crazy, intense lesson with Mars and Aries, where it's we can actually, no one has to feel all alone. I mean, it'll be what it'll be. It probably will be intense, but in some parts of the world or country, but it's also, here's this opportunity again to get ahead of that. That's where astrology is so beautiful. Even if it doesn't deliver good news all the time, it can help you get ahead of the curve so that you can lean into the more positive growth experiences of a transit, as opposed to getting your ass kicked by the challenging part.
Yeah. But I will say that Mars and Aries can ramp up aggression again, which, and there are a lot of people talking about guns and protecting themselves. And that can be a time when that becomes an issue that you're going to see a lot of debate around. There will be people that, really want to exercise that Second Amendment right, supposedly. So that's just something to be aware of. Again, I don't want to sugarcoat as we really try to prepare you. and I don't want you to hear anything we're saying is that's definitely going to happen, because yes, we do believe in speaking things into reality, or the power of words. So it's a very difficult line to walk as astrologers, because we want to, but I would say that Mars in Aries period is going to bring up self-protection issues and the different ways that people choose to do that,
Mhm.
so, just be prepared for that. So, and then December 21st, that's a date that astrologers are really looking forward to. It's kind of like our, hopefully, reward for all the hardship we're going through. Um, you know, the Jupiter, the great conjunction, these happen, I think, every 20 years. Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter rules expansion, Saturn rules contraction. They're kind of opposites, but when they come together, it's sort of like we can take calculated risks, or we can grow within a structure. Jupiter on its own can be overconfident, over optimistic, gambling it all. And Saturn is like overly uptight, conservative, and tight fisted. So when they come together, it's like we finally have someone who takes wise chances and risks, or growth within a supportive structure. It's like, yeah, you bought yourself a fast car, but you're not a 16-year-old who just got their driver's license when you get behind the wheel. You get behind the wheel as a seasoned, experienced driver who's gonna be responsible. I guess that's the metaphor for that. So they're going to come together in Aquarius, the sign of innovation. So the very least, we're going to see hopefully something really positive to look forward to. Elena, is that how you say it? The Taurus here is saying, I'm not starting anything until December 21st. Well, look, I wouldn't say that. I think, they're really...
That would not be our recommendation.
No, you may not be able to fully launch something, but please, this is a time to do your behind the scenes groundwork, learning, sharpen up your skills, like build new skill sets to prepare. So, do not, it's what we tell people during Mercury retrograde normally. Now we have a much bigger thing, but don't go hide under the bed and stick your head in the sand. Stay aware and engaged and alert, and be of service. Ask the damn universe how you can serve. What do you have? Even if it's just your two hands to give, or something you can deliver to a person who's elderly or in need. Just do not let fear freeze you. Fight, flight, freeze. Those are the fear responses of our old lizard brains. And I really encourage us not to get in their grips to the point where, please reach out. And I'm so glad you guys are on this with us. Like, just don't isolate yourself from human contact, even if it's virtual, if you get into that state of fear. So
here's something: if you're freaked out about not starting anything, it could be because you're moving out of that old Capricorn paradigm of I have to do it all alone. And first you want to get some connecting going. So join some business mastermind groups, start one. There's going to be all kinds of online clubs and learning. So it could be that, just this is a time for Saturn and Aquarius is a time for online group learning. People are asking about, should I put in a bid on my dream home? Well, mortgages are lower than they're ever going to be, probably. And honestly, the north node of the moon is in Capricorn. That's a very protected, destined placement. So if it truly is your dream home, you truly can afford it in your budget, and you've thought about it, well, I would personally, if it's something you can do. If you're just trying to buy something that's 10 times what you think you can actually pay, then
like you have to really look at anyone who's thinking of making an irreversible investment in the economy. I mean, look, Saturn and Uranus are going to be in a forming squares in 2021, which are tense angles and 90-degree angles. So there's going to be, upheaval probably for the next until 2022. Not like this, hopefully, but there will, it's not going to be a certain market. There will be at least periods in 2021 where the stars suggest that, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough savings and security to really weather the storms. They say have 6 months of savings at least in your bank account. Maybe you want to think about a year now if you're thinking about buying a home, and really evaluate and ask yourself, if the worst case scenario happens, would I be prepared, or would I lose the home? I know they're offering mortgage furloughs in some places now for even up to a year or so, but there's no guarantees for
It
anything.
might be a good time to refinance if you are a homeowner. Definitely is. I'm doing that, but I still haven't gotten the paperwork because the bank is so backed up. Here's another thing that I want to just say. Last time in 2008 to 2009, when Jupiter and Pluto were both in Capricorn, they weren't conjunct. They never hit the same degree, though. But, there was the mortgage crisis. I wasn't paying attention because I wasn't in a place where I could actually even have a conversation about mortgages. Like I didn't, at that point to where I can speak on what happened as any kind of expert. I just know it was a shit show. But the thing is, a lot of people, the Plutonian shadiness, kicked in, and all of a sudden, but now for some people this wasn't done in a shady way, but there were some sharks circling, just waiting for people's homes to be repossessed so they could make their fortune flipping them at someone else's expense. Now, sometimes that happens. Sometimes people do that with integrity. So that's not a judgment cast on people who are in the fix and flip industry. Half of HGTV is about that. But here's a time where those sharks are going to start circling again. Ooh, I'm going to buy some foreclosed properties. That is not getting the lesson of the great conjunction that's coming in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius. How can you help your neighbors keep their homes? How can you help more people stay sheltered in place and having shelter after that? That is more the mindset that we're growing into. That the Capricorn world that we're moving out of wants foreclosed properties. The Aquarius world we're moving into wants everyone to have shelter. So I don't think anyone on this Facebook Live is going to be, thinking that way. But, just felt like that needed to be said. So, anyways, yep. Foreclosures they do have some bad energy. Sometimes it happens and people have found opportunity for themselves that way too. So again, I'm not casting aspersions on it, but I think that we will probably see some people looking to kind of take advantage of other people's plight at this time. And the world is another opportunity to step up and get past that. So, okay.
Our hearts really go out to those of you guys who are in the comments talking about how you've had to pivot in your careers. That's, aside from becoming a homeschooling parent, maybe the most shocking for people of all. Like, if you're working in a business or an industry that was thriving, like travel or service or anything in person, wellness, that like literally can't go on while there's, isolation and sheltering at home and that kind of thing. That is not going to be fixed overnight. And it is, and so this is a time to really look at how to pivot and how you can and where you can, or if you can, or if it makes sense to. So we do respect that, this Saturn and Aquarius time. And what's interesting about Aquarius, it's going to be a time to really take some objective distance. Aquarius is the sign of emotional detachment, not coldness, but it's this very even though it's a quirky, innovative, mad scientist sign, it's also about taking some emotional distance and looking at things through a cool-headed, objective lens. Now, that's not something a lot of us really do because we're so tuned into our intuition, which we feel through our emotions, and our emotions live in the body. So to actually take a little bit of distance from your emotions and intuition may seem totally counterintuitive to who you know yourself to be as a person. But during Saturn and Aquarius, that sort of cool-eyed, sort of steely-eyed way of looking at your plans is not going to be a bad idea. There's a book that I've been talking about all year called Atomic Habits. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of it. But what's interesting about it is it talks about like the things that we think we are just habits, a lot of them. Like we said, I'm not a vegetable person. I'm not I'm not an extrovert. I'm not a that. Now that sounds funny for an astrologer to say, but some of those things were just born out of habit, even the habit of just repeating them and creating behaviors that correspond. So I don't know if I 100% buy that, but if there may be a need, especially for the earth signs, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo, least of all Virgo, probably because they're mutable, but the fixed signs also, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, or anyone with heavy amounts of that in their chart, may have the hardest time adapting. And so, you may need some extra support around making any pivots. And, Atomic Habits might be a good book to listen to or read while we're going through this time, and just consider like giving up maybe like some of the ways you said you are, some of the things you have insisted that are who you are in the fabric of your personality, even ones that are linked to your astrological side. It's always a choice. So
Nice.
mhm.
And you know what? Here's the thing to remember, and we're gonna do our exercise in a minute. So if you want to get a notebook and pen, and while we're talking for a couple more minutes, and we'll come back on the screen in a sec too. Here's the thing to remember: nobody has the answer. Nobody, no, every that's what's so unique about this situation. No one is free from it. Nobody has antibodies for the coronavirus, unless some secret lab conspiracy theory thing is true, but we're not going there today. Um, Nobody does. And just as nobody at one business closes, it impacts everyone. So hopefully we'll be able to, this may show us what's truly important. For the last 200 years, all the great conjunctions were happening in earth signs. And those every 20 years, Jupiter and Saturn meet up. So how do you expand? How do you contract? So, and that sort of shapes our currency and what we consider valuable. So the last 200 years, it's been about amassing land, oil, natural resources, real estate, owning land. Now, as of this December 21st, the Great Conjunction takes place in Aquarius, an air sign. And the next 200 years, they all take place in air signs every 20 years. So astrologers are looking at that for a long, long view and saying, what's the new currency? Ideas, community. Air signs are the Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, the twins, the relationship balancer, the communal person, the community group collaborator. Um, we are these are all very idea based energies. Air signs, airs, of course we have a challenge with something, a virus spreading to the air too, while more through contact too. But it's we have to keep our distance. We can't breathe the same air. It's affecting our lungs, which are ruled by Gemini. I'm hoping Venus and Gemini helps with that lung strengthening for everyone too, starting this April 3rd. But like the air is getting cleaner as a result of this restriction. I saw Veronica was in Italy saying the sky hasn't been so clear since she remembers in northern Italy. These are weird to say silver linings, it doesn't even sound right, but what is happening to the air around us, and it's all going through a shift. The internet, things that we can't touch, AI, things that exist in the ether are going to be the new currency too. Distance learning. So just we all have to kind of make it through this when the floor drops out from under us, it feels like, oh my God, we're in free fall, but really it's an opportunity. We keep saying this for something new to be born, and it will be, because that's how humans roll. Either that or we're all going to wake up on Pleiades tomorrow. So let's go through the exercise. You want to hit the next slide, and I'll bring us on so we can hang out with you guys a little bit too while we go through this here. Let's see if I can arrange this so it's that makes me bigger than you. Okay. We're all about equality in the age of Saturn and Aquarius. So
that's all right. I'm the younger twin. I can, be smaller.
That may make it a little bit too small for people to see, but in fact, it is a little too small for me to see. Okay, there we go. So these are 6 daily questions. When we decided to do these a couple days ago, they weren't, it was a new concept. This woman, Brooke Anderson, who's a photographer, did a video on a yellow Post-it note with her writing these out. I just saw today that this has been circulated 20,000 times, which is amazing, because but okay, you may have seen the video. Let's all do this together. Let's all.
Yeah, I'll copy and paste the questions into a comment.
Yeah, and I'll hide us for now until the end. So this can be so everyone can look at them together. So, so the first one is, what am I grateful for today? What am I grateful for today? And this is something you want to do every day as a practice. Definitely every day of Aries season, which goes until April 19th. For me personally, I am grateful that I have a backyard. I have a backyard in Seattle, which is semi-rare, and I can go and connect with the outdoors and the earth, even while socially distancing those. So that is something. What are you grateful for today, Ophi?
I'm really grateful for the experience I had with my homeschooling project, co-schooling, and just for my awesome friend, Dr. Rashia, and, her adorable son, Osiris. So, yeah, and just how we came together, and, our kids were smiling and happy instead of in tears over homework and schoolwork. So I'm grateful that I got to participate in my daughter's education today, even if it was inconvenient AF. So
yesterday you were like cursing it, So
yeah,
So the second question is, who am I checking in on or connecting with today? Who am I checking in on? Is there someone in your life you want to check in on or connect with? I'm going to call our little sister, who recently moved to Detroit and is still figuring out her life there. And I can imagine this must be really chaotic for her and her partner and their family, as they don't have it all dialed in yet. And now he probably won't be able to go to his non-essential job soon. And yeah. How about you, Ophi?
That's a really good question.
He found a 10-roll stash of TP. That is
well, I have a friend who is a lifelong New York City person, and she's out in the Midwest right now. She's older and not comfortable being around everything, and in the risk group. So I'm going to check in and see how things are going for her. So
good idea. Good idea. All right. Well, Number 3, what expectations of quote unquote normal am I letting go of today? Um, I'm letting go of this rigid writing schedule that I put myself on where I like miss the sunshine, and I've done that for years. And after this call, I'm going to put on some, scrubby clothes and go outside and work in my backyard and spend some time with my husband who's already out there cleaning stuff up, and maybe make some space for a trampoline. You
Mhm.
for it? Yeah. Um,
Normal for me, well, I live between New York City and about half an hour out, and I've had this lovely routine for the last 7 years of getting to go into the city whenever I want and staying there and, not having to be a full on suburbanite. And normal was okay. Where the suburb where I raised my daughter with my husband is kind of the boring place, and New York is the exciting hub of commerce. But right now, there's more open up here than there is even in the city. So that is a real normal routine and normal New York City is the center of the universe for me that I have to let go of, hopefully not for too long. um so,
I
yeah.
know I have to let go of coming there every couple months. Boy,
Right. Yeah, well,
I will, Alona, I will.
at least for the moment. And you know what, I want to say something about letting go, because uh there's a difference between attachment, which is, and non-attachment. Is kind of a Buddhist principle that lots of you guys already know about. And I'm an amateur here, so part of me, if I'm, a 1,000 times more than I do about this. But that said, you know, letting go, somebody asked about this, like, what does letting go mean? Letting go doesn't mean you give up on it. It doesn't mean you stop being committed to it, stop loving it. It just means you go, it's more about acceptance, because um, all sufferings arises from being in an argument with what is happening right now in this moment. So if you're in an argument with your current reality in the moment, you can't find acceptance, you can't find peace, and you're in the struggle. So letting go does not mean saying this will never happen again. It just means I accept that right now going to New York City, the viral hotspot of the United States, is not a good idea, is not for me. But I will not stop loving the Big Apple with all the fervor of the old, Madonna, fellow Michigan person who came to New York too to find her calling. And
Mhm.
I'm not, yeah, so just that's, I just want you to hear that as the peace and beauty of acceptance. We may not have the freedom to go outside and to places that we want, but we always have the freedom that comes with radical acceptance of the moment. So I don't know, sorry, Buddha just
Okay.
sort of stepped into my here, but
Got it.
this is not my usual style, but wanted to say that. So
As a new teacher, you're doing well. Um, so, how am I number 4, how am I getting outside today? Well, I already told you guys I'm gonna work on my yard. It's really important to get outside if you can, even if you can just step outside in your front of your building, get some of this newly fresh air. Um, and then number 5, how am I moving my body today? This question's been a good one for me, really eye-opening, because I realize how sedentary I've been, and yet how much more I want to, um, just really be in my body now. There's a new opportunity since technology has brought us into, like, we're literally hovering outside our bodies. We're like, our minds are over with that person who just sent us a text message, and we forget to be here now. So for me, it's going to be definitely doing some weeding and raking, and I'm gonna walk Lux, my dog. How about you, Ophi? Are you gonna jump on the trampoline?
Yeah, I just
You
realized
have?
I been outside. Yeah, I took a trampoline break on Friday, so I think now the sun is out here in New York. It was raining this morning, so yeah, I'll be getting on that trampoline.
Just got a call from our little sister. She must have heard me saying that. That's funny.
Psychic.
Oh my God. On record. Hello. We're man. That's how it works when we're in these fields. You start manifesting. So, lastly, what beauty am I either creating?
Well, we did moving my body.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. What beauty am I either creating, cultivating, or inviting in today? So, that is, I have to think about that. I guess weeding the garden will be good. I wish I had some flowers to plant, but no garden stores are open right now. So maybe I'll make a really nice salad for lunch with the fresh food that I'm lucky enough to have right now. So these are
Yep.
things. Yeah.
I've got lots of food, so definitely doing that. So
I'm gonna bring us back on again. And then, yeah, so these are 6 questions you can work on every single day. And ooh, that sounds amazing, Eric. Uh Wonder citrus blossoms everywhere. Wow, beautiful.
yes, Elena is taking a top-down convertible ride with the kids, so
That's
love
a great
that.
idea. I have a convertible too, and I was like, "Can I do this?" Yes, I can. I can
Yeah,
ride it. I can take It's 65 degrees today here. I may drive down to Lake Washington and just stare at the water a little bit there.
yeah.
Yeah, so everyone, we want to thank you. And we also wanted to let you know that we are reopening the portal, our membership group. Ophi, do you want to bring that
Yep, just
slide up? So
slide
we decided to do this. A lot of you already know about this. We have a membership group and a lot of you are already in it. So thank you. But we just opened this in February and it's been an amazing source of support. We had no idea. We felt that we had to do it now and it was timing, divine timing, but we did not know just how divine it would be. This group has been a real lifeline for a lot of us already. Even going through, we did a 21-day rock the retrograde challenge where every day we took on a new way of making it through Mercury retrograde. We have a start map the month with us, a weekly bi-weekly live stream. You'll learn how to read your chart planet by planet and basically be part of this cosmic support community while we're all home and needing to connect. So we originally weren't going to reopen the portal until June, but right now we wanted to make it available for some people said, "Oh, I missed the deadline on that." So we really wanted to make it available without being tacky here and being like, "Hey, we
buy something when you're worried about money. But we also know that like community is going to be so essential. So if you found, and we also knew that like tough situations like the ones we all talked about that you guys are going through um, will keep coming up. So in the portal, there's an opportunity to be in an ongoing conversation. Lisa, who shared about her grandfather opening his eyes when he heard her voice. He's in end of life care, and she's been sharing in the portal about that, about getting to see her grandfather with the virus restrictions. So, some of the things that you're really dealing with now, we're able to provide ongoing support through the lessons, the guest experts, the private Facebook group conversations, the community's support, and really able to come together and brainstorm proactively and give each other great suggestions for things that they might want to do.
And
So,
every month we visit another planet. So we've already visited Uranus during Aquarius season and Neptune during Pisces season. We're about to visit Mars together. So what that means is we're calling them pocket courses. So you're going to go through your chart one planet at a time and we interview a medical astrologer who tells you how that planetary energy shows up in your body. So bizarre. Without before any of this even exploded, we were talking about Neptune with Julie Everett. Neptune is like mysterious illnesses that can't be placed or sourced in the that and yeah, here we are dealing with a Neptunian pandemic. So
Yeah.
anyways, this is the portal's here to be an amazing source of support. So we're going to keep it open for a little while again. So
Yeah, we have it open until April 1st. So we invite you to go, to astrostyle.com/portal and see what it's about and if it speaks to you. But essentially, and we're just doing, it's monthly, it's $39.97 a month. So, we were doing it as a year-long thing, but we're just doing month by month because that's kind of how life is right now. It's moment by moment. So, but we do promise and anyone who's in there now can vouch just to give you lots and lots of support that's relevant to what's now. It's our way of being able to provide not only support, but connection with you, getting to know you and what you are going through, and to really guide you. We, like Tali said, we start each month with a map the month with us session and prepare everybody. And then all month long, we're talking about what those planetary transits are every month. So check it out, or if you missed it last time and we're like, I'm going to join the next time, well, now's a little window to do that.
Someone is asking Sanders, what would you say the level of info you provide in the portal is? Beginner, intermediate, or advanced, or all of the above? You can come in at any level and you will learn. We have Jess and Chartreuse, our fabulous TAs who've been helping to facilitate here today too.
And also, as soon as you join, you get access to a free course, a free half-hour course on how to read the basics of your birth chart. So everybody can be trained in how to learn your planet, zodiac sign, and house. We have a printable bookmark with the symbols and all kinds of tools. So if you're a beginner, you can easily get on board. We've broken it down for that. But if you have some knowledge, there's plenty there too. So it won't be too basic for you.
And also there's some things that if you are a bit more advanced, you can astro geek out on totally. There's when we'll talk about that. And then we go around, we work within the theme of the zodiac season. So we're going to, and what's going on in the world. We're going to be, our next guest expert, a shamanic financial advisor. We did fashion feng shui. Somebody taught us, one of our guest experts, Jennifer Newman, shared how to feng shui the clothes that you already have and your body type. And hey, look, a lot of us are going to be doing cleaning and home curating. So it's also a place where we can, we might have a virtual craft night. We're tailoring it so that experts that we bring in are also there for life, whatever's happening in the stars, as above, so below. We'll bring in people who can speak to the things that are important. We have a Rashia, our naturopathic, well, she's an MD who also is an integrative medicine, a naturopathic doctor, will be chiming in soon with some great information. So astrostyle.com/portal, if you want to keep hanging out with us, through this crazy time, we would love that. We already have an amazing group there, and this is what we do every week. We, in different ways. So
yeah, we created it because this year we said, there's been a real call from people to spend more quality time with us and learn from us. So we did it in an organized way. We had no idea that it would be quite this timely and needed. So check it out and join us if you're called. And we're really wishing you a reset and a rebalancing at this equinox, an equalizing equinox. We really hope that, listening to this webinar has given you some space from the fear and the anxiety and the panic that's just so easy to get swept up in. And, Yes.
We're
So
all resetting together. There's a global reset going on, and there's always that moment when you turn off and shut down your computer that you wonder if it's actually gonna come back on again because, like, the monitor takes a couple seconds, and then all of a sudden that little Apple or PC message shows up, and it's like, and even then it's like, is this going to happen? And then finally, is my desktop going to be wiped away? And then there it is, your same apps, your same fonts, your same files are there. So I feel like that is kind of what is happening now. We just don't know how long it's going to take for the reboot. So everyone, thanks, thanks for spending today with us. It means as much to us to be able to connect to you. It means so much. And thanks for being part of our community, our cosmic community. And this will be available for replay. We're going to put it on YouTube. So if you want to share it with people,
and we'll make a post on our site that
yeah,
will embed it in, and
it'll be available for that.
we'll make it widely available because, you know, you may want to rewatch it or rewatch the exercise. You're more than welcome to. So
Yeah.
thank you all so much for your time and amazing comments and amazing, you know, just openness and willingness to see this through a new lens than one of fear. And again, wherever you are, however you are, those emotions are going to go up and down. I think about the Aquarius symbol, which is waves, and we can really expect waves, you know?
Yeah, but
So,
we're going to be here together to ride them. So stay healthy, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Find a way to do that. Take care of each other, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
bye.